Hello everyone, happy Wednesday. I love you, sending you a very big virtual hug wherever you are on the earth plane in this now moment. So I've been thinking a lot about this the last couple of days. I want to share it with you. It's this way that we are in relationships with family members, with friends, with loved ones. So typically, now this isn't black or white, so there's a variety of ways that we are in relationship, but typically, many of us in this third dimensional matrix have been in this programmed way of being with people where we are using a lens that we are unconsciously aware of that is filtered through our traumas and our wounds. So what this looks like in relationship is that we see in others what they are doing wrong, or what they're doing doesn't resonate with us, or we see them going down the wrong path, or we see people in their lives that may not be good for them, may not be healthy. Your friends and family members and loved ones maybe are doing behaviors that you wouldn't do. They're choosing things in their lives that you don't think are for their best interest. Maybe it doesn't resonate with you. You have your own opinions, beliefs, resonances around how someone is living their life. And when you are using a lens that is based in an unconscious trauma or wounded space, which most of us are a lot of the time, we just aren't aware of it. It's just being human. That's what we're doing right now. We're clearing all that out. But when you are in relation with someone from that lens, using that lens, what it looks like is, hey, I really want to share how I'm seeing you live your life. I don't think what you're doing is right. I don't think what you're doing is good for you. I don't think this person's good for you. Hey, the choices you're making, I don't think that's going to take you down the right path. There's this desire in you to try to change, fix, help someone. Many times it comes from a heart-centered space, like you're really concerned, or you really want to help, you really want to provide your opinions. But here's a different lens that I invite us to think about. It's this lens that I like to call the master, or a higher version of us, higher perspective, higher state of consciousness. What if we had all those experiences around somebody's way of being, our opinions, our beliefs, our thoughts, our resonances. But when we put on the lens of the master, when we put on the lens of this higher version of us, this higher perspective, we're now looking at them as a sovereign being. That they have all the answers. That they are consciously or unconsciously choosing their journey, that they are a master themselves, just like I am. And although it's easier for me to try to help them or change them, with the lens of the master, I honor them as the master that they are. I honor that it is their path, that it is their resonance, that it is their choice, that it is their free will. Now I'm prefacing that this is not for all relationships, okay? There are parents that have children, so let's take this into perspective. You have to raise children. But as we start moving into higher states of consciousness, the lens that we use when we are engaging in relationships will start to change. And it no longer becomes what we think, what we feel, what we want to say, what we believe is right. But we start to honor that they are the master in training. And who am I to tell this other individual what their journey should look like based on my beliefs, opinions, and resonances around how they're living their life? It's a very different perspective. It's much more challenging because it's from a higher perspective, because it's from a higher state of consciousness. It takes a lot more humbleness to be able to use that lens. Now, if somebody comes to you and says, hey, what do you think about this choice I'm making? Hey, what do you think about this way of me being or this person in my life? And you give them your opinion, that's one thing. But you're always using that lens of the master, master to master. A master is coming to you, a master in training. You're a master in training. And here comes a master in training asking you for an opinion. You give them your opinion without any sort of attachment to you being right or they being right. Just because you have an opinion, a resonance, a belief around how someone is being doesn't mean it's right. It means it's yours. And if you think it's right, that is based on a trauma or a wound. That's the lens. If you think you're right and they're wrong in how they're living their life, that's a trauma-based response. That's a wounded-based response. The lens is from a perspective that is unconsciously based on a trauma or a wound from a past. So pay attention to the lens you're using when you are engaging in relationship with others. And when you have this desire, this need to change someone or give your perspective on how they're living their life, what's resonating with you, what isn't resonating, what you think is good for them, what isn't good for them. Can you change that perspective, put on the lens of the master and see them as the master in training as well? And that maybe, just maybe, there's a divine design in what they're experiencing. And who are you to interfere with their human journey? We don't have to agree. We don't have to like. We don't have to resonate. But as a master in training, looking at another master in training, can we honor them? And you're always speaking your truth. This isn't about holding back your truth or holding firm boundaries. This is about not trying to force your opinions, beliefs, and resonances onto somebody else in order to change them. We change the human collective by being in higher states of consciousness. And one of those ways of being in higher states of consciousness is to use the lens of the master in training. So when you look out at all the individuals that you can't understand, you don't know why they're doing what they're doing, it's flabbergasted, you're like flabbergasted, you're just jaw dropped, like what? Right? People that you know, people that you don't know, can you start to see them through the lens of the master in training? And honor it. And hopefully by doing that, you and I and so many others will energetically impact the collective field and start to become unified so that those other masters in training will start to practice the same thing. And then you won't have this divide. People coming at each other. You should be doing this. You should be doing that. You should say it this way. You should not be doing it this way. All of this nonsense chatter that's based on trauma and wounds. It's the lens of trauma and wounding. And if you want to know what a unified field is, a unified field is honoring the master in every human, the master in training in every human. And that is much more difficult than wanting to assist somebody in making their life better, perhaps, because you think there's a better way for them to be. Or to assist them in changing anything about the way they are living their life. Be the master in training. Use the lens of the master in training as much as you can. And again, please, this isn't black or white. This isn't every single relationship is like this. And I've got to just let my child do what they're doing, right? If you have a child, it may be a little bit different. But pay Pay attention to the lens you're using. We are all masters in training. I love you.